This says excellent connection for once, you guys. Excellent connection. Yay, it looks like we are live. Let me just double check something on the channel. Good morning, everybody. I hope you are having a wonderful Sunday morning. We are here, coffee chat. All right, I am set up. I can see we're good to go. Let me know if in the comments if you are here. All right, let's get to it. So, I almost broke my bracelet. I would have been mad with my best friend bracelet. Let us get started with the economic calendar, of course. What do we have going on this week? Not a whole lot. Yay. Although I will say for futures, I do like when we have data because it brings volatility into the market. So it's not a whole lot going on here. As you can see on Tuesday, we have this little bit of data that's probably not going to move anything, but it could possibly bring some volatility into the market. Then you see Wednesday, we have the durable orders, durable goods, gasoline, stocks exchange. Even though these aren't big data numbers, there is still a little bit of data. So we actually might see something shake next week. It's just not big like CPI, Powell, PPI, non-farm payrolls, that type of thing. As usual, on Thursday, we have our jobless claims. The PCE prices, I'm really not sure what that's going to do, but again, we got to be aware of it. Oh, wait, hold on, y'all. I didn't see this before. I am not sure what this would do, mostly because it's not coming after the Fed's interest rate decision. So it's not, and both of them, they're speaking on Thursday. I don't really think that it's, this is going to be, the Feds are outside on Thursday, y'all. So Thursday may be a day where we actually might make something shake, but I'm not sure what they would say here that will really affect things that they haven't already said this past week. That was the big move. So anyway, and then on Friday we have the core PCE price index. So have to see what that does. Chicago PMI at 9:45 and Michigan consumer sentiment at 10. That may be something like how the last Friday we saw the PMI didn't really give us a lot. Hey, stock market mindset, good morning. All right, so that's our economic data. Another thing I wanted to point out, you guys, run STRAT. So this is actually on my bookmarks. So every once in a while, I just click on it to see if it's still available. And the last time I checked, it said up here something like, it's not always updated periodically, that type of thing. We remember that with STRAT, they were having problems with holding their servers. And so I noticed that they're off and on back. So keep them on your list and check them out. If it's updated, you'll be able to, do your scans here and change your scans to whatever you want to look for. If you want to look for your inside weeks or your months or your days or whatever, STRAT is doing a little something. Now, granted, hopefully their servers don't get overloaded now that we know that they're back up. But if they are and they start asking for money again, throw them a bone, y'all. Donate $10. It may help keep their servers up, unless you want to just do this and have these nice little setups here for you whenever you need them. So that is STRAT. All right, so getting into our regular stuff. So you guys know that we are starting the end of the week, the end of the month, next week. Lord, I can't talk today. My coffee is just not kicking in. We are starting it at the end of the week next week. September has been seriously bearish. we've had rips, but we're in short the rip mode so far. So I am expecting somewhat for that to change by October. We shall see once it hits the levels that I've been talking about since probably July, I think. But notice here on the weekly that the VIX did a boom. And of course, this is expected because we had such a red week. Obviously, the VIX was going to be green. And we also know that we had such consolidation. We were expecting a big breakout. So if you took advantage of some of those double inside weeks that I somewhat mentioned on my cut short video last week, great job. But looking at the VIX now, it looks like we're about to hit a little resistance. We still have room to go. So this last week of the month, we can actually keep going, or it may do something sideways only because we had such a strong move. We may consolidate this week. Hopefully not. But I am really honestly thinking we're either going to have a consolidation week or a continuation week. Continuing the red that we've seen in the market to finish hitting some of these targets. Okay, looking at the VIX on the daily, it's right at its 200. So keeping that in mind, we know that it has not been able to get above it since March, earlier this year. Barely could touch it there, barely touched it there, rejected hard there, and now we're right here. So this is something to watch. You know, last few times we have rejected from here. If we break above there, we're definitely going to see more red in the market, and the market does still have plenty of room to fall and still be, I guess what you would say, halfway or hit our 50% retrace from the run that we had this entire year. Good morning, TF. I love that energy. But yeah, so that's the VIX. Looking at the dollar, once again, is just going straight up, y'all. This is interesting because when it does turn, or if you play the dollar, whenever it does turn, make sure you take that fib so that if you catch a 2 up, 2 down, you know that you can at least probably catch it down to halfway. You know, maybe to where these EMAs are or whatever. But this is 1, 2, 3, not quite a PMG, but you know good and well it can't go up forever. So I'm actually watching the dollar for some side of either consolidation and continuation or consolidation and reversal. But this straight up means that, you know, at some point it needs to retrace. It's kind of looking almost like how SPY was doing this year, honestly, though. Just went straight, had its little corrections and was going. So it's respecting this 8 very well. It's above its 200, so it's bullish. So even though I'm talking about, I see those straight green weeks, I feel like some kind of correction is still overdue. But we would have to wait and see. And if not, you know, you may want to do something like wait for a TTO, which is a corrective activity or a pullback before you continue in that direction. Still has full time frame continuity. So remember, we're going to keep this for one more week, but then my next week video, we're going to be talking about how we got a new quarter, new month, new week. All of that time frame continuity is going to be out of whack. So take advantage of this last week while you can. All right, looking at the NASDAQ. Not sure why these were. Oh, actually, put that back, because we like that one. That downtrend we were showing there that we're still in. And last week we talked about this double inside week, right? Now remember, with the STRAT, a double inside week is not an actionable signal. However, we know that a double inside week is a strong period of consolidation that will lead to a bigger breakout, and that was your breakout. Okay, so that was amazing. After this long week, again, I'm thinking we're either going to continue this because we have plenty of room to fall, plenty of room, and we can still keep this overall larger bullish picture. But we can fall to at least this 14,563, may come test this EMA here, this 14,330. And then even what I've been looking for is a test of this 200. So 14,008 is kind of what I'm looking for. Now, when you look at it on the week, this is kind of like an H pattern. So big old H, but that's one of the patterns that my daughters know. I think it's one of the easiest patterns to see when you have a downtrend. That's your retrace, your TTO, and then it continues in the trend. So it could still either do something like that. It can maybe go sideways and down. It can continue down, or it may want to come up, hit that 15,235 again before done. So looking at it on the day, you know, you can kind of see this shoulder over here is a little bit higher than this shoulder, but you're still in that head and shoulders pattern. And then you still have even a shorter term, shoulder, head, shoulder, and it played out. Okay, so keep that in mind. We can definitely go a lot further. I'm looking to there's also a gap right here at this 13,655 that we may want to go for should we continue to fall. But a lot of these charts are really looking bearish. We don't want to be too bearish, but a lot of them are looking that way. We also know here that the NASDAQ has a gap to the upside. So if anything, if it doesn't do that continuation out the gate, it may want to do a retest. So what the short the rip is kind of doing is like a retest and rejection. So you would look for this to do like a 3-2 up reversal, hit that, maybe even hit this, and then reject and come back down. So when you're in these type of modes, you can use these EMAs as rejections, or understand that with the rip up, you're going to expect the bears to step back in. And they are, because we're still in this short-term downtrend. Okay, we're making lower highs. The bears are stepping in when they need to. All right. Capitulation. You know what? Yes, you have read it. You told us 3 weeks about capitulation now. I hope you guys are listening, because we have definitely been moving or doing this downside thing, which I'm not going to front. This is one of my favorite types of markets. I love the bear market. Oh, one thing I did want to point out. If depending on how long you have been trading, if you'll notice, this bearish activity here is not kind of like how it was last year. And why is that? Because we are still above the 200 on a daily. And I'm not, depending on how long you've been following me, I told y'all a lot of times, this 200 is a really solid point between who is in control. Okay, on the larger picture. So right now the bulls are still in control, and that's why it doesn't just fall to hell like we think it should. You have the bulls and the bears fighting. You have a fall, but then the bulls will step back in, and then the bears will step back in. So it's not going to just elevator down like it did when it's under the 200. When it's under the 200, you'll have much more stronger bear activity, where it's not as much of a fight. Okay, so until that happens, we will probably keep fighting on the way down on this correction. So looking at the Dow is honestly, it's a trade the range kind of stock. Because look at it, it's still in the same range. Last week we were here. This week we did move to the downside, but the entire market moved to the downside. So knowing what's in the Dow, understanding the stocks that are in there, for instance, Microsoft, BA has been dying. This is why some of these things have been just straight coming down. So the Dow is now sitting at a support, but again, it does still have more room that it can fall. So on the week, this is kind of a head here. We could actually shoulder a little bit before we continue more to the downside. Looking at it on the daily, this is the first one out of all of them. All of the indices anyway, besides IWM, that has actually touched the 200. And remember, with SPY, I was looking for, oh, I am looking for it to come to the 200 and test that. The Dow has already done that. So this head and shoulders is, this short-term head and shoulders right here kind of played out. You can see a larger one here, shoulder, head, shoulder. So this will be key. Honestly, I think that this may repeat IWM, which I'll show you in just a minute. IWM played around the 200 for a while, so it may wash below, come back above, wash below. We do have, it may come back and retest these EMAs up here, but now that it's at this 200, it's going to, this is a level where it should possibly bounce from or iron out before it decides its next move. Okay, and also if you look back, this is an area that it's fallen from several times before. So like, look right here, fell from there. Look right here, fell from there. Look right here, fell from there. Okay, but from right here, it bounced from here. So it could really go either way depending on who's in control. But if the rest of the market is bearish, I would expect for it to fight here and then lose it. Got full time frame continuity to the downside. So as long as it keeps that, yeah, it may continue dying. IWM. So this had an absolutely wonderful week. It does not always make strong moves like this, but as you can see, because like the week before it barely moved, but when you can catch it, you can catch a really great move. One thing I just wanted to point out is just like the Dow. So like here it came and it touched the 200, and I was telling you guys last week, well, a few weeks before, to watch it. We made this shoulder, we made a head, and then we had a shoulder, and all of this was right around that 200. Once it lost it, the bears completely took control. And now remember what I was saying, when you're above the 200, how hard it is to fall versus when you went below. Look at where it went below, right here, and then from there it was just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight days of selling. 4 days of selling, then a gap down, and 2 more days of selling, and it still could keep going. Okay, my first target was 181. As far as this was a level that we have been watching since way back here, since March. Okay, so I knew that 181 was going to be strong. It didn't, it hesitated there quick, and then it lost it. All right, and so now it's almost filling this gap here, which is at 176.24, and then it's going to be right back in this chop area, y'all. So it could still keep going. My final target for this is going to be this 173, because it did do the 212 down. It already hit the first target. The next one will be that 173. But again, that is in this chop area again, so it may be down or come down here and chop. Or as Shay will say, it may do it with that market maker sell model. Come down, chop a little bit, go down again. So we'll have to watch it and see what it does. But yeah, oh, let me look at that really quickly. TF. Yes. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little mad about BA, because like I'll watch BA for the longest, and like I was watching it from here to about here, right? So it was doing all this, and I'm like, I'm not watching it. Then it did this, and I'm salty. I'm like, okay. And once it did this, I'm saying, is which way is it gonna go? Which way is it gonna go? And I stopped watching it, because from around here is when I started doing my SPY QQQ IWM only challenge. So I was not really looking at a whole bunch of other stocks. And the inner bear in me is sad that I missed all of this. All of that. This is some heavy selling pressure. So honestly, something like this I wouldn't touch at this point until it actually retested and rejected. So one thing when you're doing, good morning, Big Mike. One thing when you're doing something like this and it's gone far away from like the EMAs, let it come back up and retest. It's got to come back up and retest this 200. And that would be your entry to keep going to the downside, because it's not to say it can't keep going. Definitely can keep going. It's breached the 200 on the monthly as well, and the weekly. So it's definitely in a huge downtrend. It's moving past this chop zone as well. So this wasn't on my agenda to talk about, but you were right. And I really just was a little bit salty about BA. But yeah, if BA was to come back up and retest that 200, I will be watching it then for a retest and rejection to possibly come on down and start taking out some of these folks. But TF says BA is capitulating. So to show y'all understand, that is what BA is doing. QQQ looks just like IWM. You had that double inside breakout. I hope y'all will start loving double insides like me as well. Just remember, it's not an actionable signal in the strat. All it is the consolidation that we don't like to play, but we like to be ready for the breakout. And there was your breakout. All right. And so again, a lot of these still do have room to go to the downside. Remember, we have been green for so long. We still have room to drop, just to even go 50% of the move since December, October, wherever you want to count. So if we did this, we're still only at 23%. Okay, we can come all the way to 50% and then keep going, or even just 38%, which is this 200 right here on the week. So keep that in mind. The bear in me would love for all of this to be taken away, but I'm really only expecting halfway before a continuation to the upside. And granted, if we don't turn in October, I'm looking for a turn in October, but if we don't, I will be ready for that. But you see, this looks similar to NASDAQ, of course, because, it's the same thing. You got your head, your shoulder. You have the fact that we are under the EMAs right now. This 8 has crossed both your 30 and your 50. I am still looking for the 200 test. So just like, with SPY, we'll show you with SPY in a second. I'm looking for 341 ultimately with the Qs. Maybe this gap fill here, 332.83. All right. You know that this is a head right here. This is your shoulder. We may come back up and fill this gap, even retest this for your shoulder area before continuing to the downside. Or we could just go ahead and gap and crap, because we've done that before. We gap down, done a little something, gap down again, done a little something, and then we will have upside targets as far as filling those gaps. Okay. So yeah, watching this for more downside, but not being too bearish, and understanding that we did have like several red days. So we may need some correction. We may need some relief pop, as it's called. SPY and the Qs look, again, almost the same. SPY is touching this 30 though. So that could be a little bit of a relief bounce there that it wants to have. But when I first started talking about this it was July, because I'm gonna toot my horn a little bit, y'all. I didn't call the top, but I did tell y'all right around here that we was possibly turning. And I told y'all I was targeting this 200. It was around 420 back here, but now as we've moved along, it is around 425. It's moved up. Even last week when I looked at it, it was 422. So, TF said I was buying the dips in 2018 and got smoked. Christmas Eve massacre was not good at all for me. Ooh. Yeah, I wouldn't buy the dip now, just because it could keep dipping. There's so much room for a lot of these to fall. But yeah, really with the buy the dip strategy, you want us to be going up, and you want to buy that corrective activity. And right now, we have room to fall. Like, for instance, Disney. I was just looking at Disney because I've been wanting to buy shares of Disney. I'm gonna go back to SPY, y'all. I've been wanting to buy shares of Disney for a long time. Honestly, probably months I've been wanting to buy it. But look at this thing. Like, I told Kiki, I said, I want to buy shares of Disney. It can't stay down this long. And then I looked at the monthly. You guys, ill. I mean, shoulder, head, shoulder. This thing's still gonna go down. it's not done. It has room to fall. So if I think my next target on Disney was 70, and I'm not sure where I got that from. What's the monthly, the quarterly? Maybe it was the year. That may have been it. There was 80, and then yeah, that was it. So I think that Disney still has more room. I said I might put a buy order in at 70, but when it's something like this, you really want to wait for it to show some sign of reversing and moving to the upside before you actually want to invest. Otherwise, you can just buy a falling knife. This thing is clearly under its 200. It's clearly controlled by the bears. There's not one sign here that it's ready to move to the upside. So just keeping that in mind. So yeah, back to SPY. We're looking for this 425 here. Maybe fill this little gap if it wants to at 423. That is going to be my first strong super support, just because that 200 is where I was telling you that that's where the bulls and the bears fight. All right, if it pulls the IWM now, that's going to really change us, or change me feeling back bullish around October, which is my birthday month. But that's going to be the key level right here. Okay, this 200. If it repeats an IWM, or if they aggressively can bounce from there and we can see new highs. A lot of people are waiting to see those new highs. For me, we need to retest this area and maybe do at least something like this around this area before we reverse the upside, for me to say, yeah, we're back bullish, or lose it and then say, okay, we might actually be completely bearish. Alrighty. So, yeah, so that's SPY. Apple. So Apple is actually going to be on the weekly list this week because of this double inside week. So I just talked to y'all about that with NASDAQ. You just saw the cues. You saw what happened after that. You can literally, most likely, you can expect for Apple to have some type of big breakout. Apple, again, has plenty of room to fall. Okay, we have the 23, the 38. We could get to the 50 and still only have retraced half of this move. And just remember, looking at how this just went straight up, Apple is now giving us some type of correction. On the weekly, you have this mini head and shoulders as well. So you're just really looking for it to break this 173.37, and we can possibly see a strong move to the downside. 172 is your first target, 170. And if you look at it on a 2 week, of course, because you have the double inside week, you're going to have this inside weekly. But that 170 is going to be a strong support there, but then we might be able to get to this 166.50, 167 area. So Apple could be what helps to bring this market down. All right, y'all know how, yes, TF, stairs up, elevator down. I think that's why I really love the being a bear, because those stairs, like, this could shake you out, and this is but then it does that, and you're just like, you making it money, honey, because you're not having to fight. But yes, I'm thinking we're going to have an elevator after this. Now, you just have to wait for that trigger. Find your entry probably on a 4-hour shorter time frame or something like that. But know that this double inside week, all our eyes should be on Apple to see if Apple is going to bring this market down. Okay. If you look at Microsoft, we were wondering the same thing, because Microsoft was basically carrying the market for a while, and you know that those two big behemoths, that's what they do. So since it has made that high that it made back in July, it has made lower highs since. It's not gotten back up there, which we know is bearish. This 8 has now crossed this 50 on the weekly time frame. again, bearish. So a lot of these charts are being bearish. You don't want to be too bearish. Again, you do want to remember that from when you're in bearish scenarios, bearish scenes, you will see rips. And the whole idea of it is short the rip. We are in short the rip mode. So don't be surprised when it rips. Just be ready to short, okay? Until we don't anymore. So you got your inside day here on Microsoft. And again, we probably are looking for it to get to this 305.79. Microsoft has a really big gap right here at 282.35. But of course, it needs to break this, which is coincidentally at the bottom of this monthly Broadening formation. That's going to be the strong support right there that you're going to need. TF asked me, Lala, do you play options? Yes, I mostly play options. I started as a long-term investor though. So I have a family investment account and my own investment account, where I like to buy my shares and hold on to it, and I have my dividend strategies, stuff like that. I own Apple shares because I have everything Apple. I have an iPad, I have iWatch, iPhone, like everything Apple. So, and they pay dividends. So there's no reason for me to not. I always tell people that there's no reason for you to not have Apple if you have Apple products. But yeah, I do play options, and I am a long-term investor. And sometimes I sell covered calls on some of my shares. So I use some of those option strategies based on the strat. I actually did a couple of videos on those. They should be in my playlist on using the strat to play covered calls on your on your shares. So I think I missed this, but I did want to point out this head and shoulders on Apple. So again, that 171 we're looking for. And then there's also this gap fill, 167.26. Okay, so y'all may be looking like, oh, we fell so much last week. We have so far, we might not have much further to go. Yeah, we do. Apple didn't do a whole lot. Apple stayed in the shoulder area. So if Apple goes ahead and dies, good night, y'all. All right, and another one that I was looking at, this I said has room to fall, is Meta. So I know this isn't on our normal list, but just know that if these behemoths start falling, Meta, Tesla, Nvidia, Google, especially Google, since Google has just been doing this retest and bounce. If it can fall from here and do this 3-2 warning, if it can fall from here and do this 3-2, we actually might see some real downside in this market. So that is SPY and the Qs. From here, I'm going to do the 50%. Actually, before I do that, let me do the 2-week setups. So if I had done a recap of the last time that I did this, y'all would have seen that the 2-week setup list from last week was absolutely amazing. It really hit. So don't ignore these 2-week setups. Just remember that they may take a couple of weeks to actually come out. So you got Apple, your 2-week. We just talked about that. Okay. You got ZOM. Now ZOM has been making lower highs since this high here. It's been sitting up here, kind of consolidating. We're waiting for this to come out. Well, drop, let me say. So watching energy. Google, we have this 3. Again, I was telling y'all, if this Google's gonna fall, we're looking for the rest of the market to go. Google with the 3-2 down, possible. Microsoft, again, same thing, 3-2 down. Now, 3s, I like them a lot only when they continue, because we know that a 3 is a new supply and demand area. It's a new broadening formation, but broadening formations broaden. So I only look for these to continue. If it does a 3-1, then I'll wait for it to finish that 1. But I'm only looking for it to continue with that 3-2 down. XLC, same thing. It's a 3 with a shooter. And if it loses this area, it has a lot of room to come down. So watch your communication services. This would be something like Meta. XLU, again, this also has been in this chop area. So and it has a nice shooter here. So if it can 2 up, 2 down, it may continue down. And actually, I mean, you can see how bearish this charts look. We're all under all EMAs. It can definitely continue going down. I told y'all about financials last week. I still think that banks are still going to die. So again, looking for this 3-2 down, because you can see where it closed at the very bottom, and the fact that it still has room to go. XLY, same thing. You got your 3 outside week, looking for a 3-2 down possible. Meta, you have your RevStrat. So this is where the XLC comes in. Y'all know I love RevStrats. It's starting to be one of my favorite plays just because it's a strong move, kind of like a double inside. This would have been a double inside if they didn't TTO them. So now that they took them out, if they're going to reverse, we have plenty of room. And I mean plenty of room to fall with Meta. JPM is going to be your XLF play. You kind of have a shooter here, so looking to see if that's going to continue. Tesla is selling off too. TF says, good morning, Richard. Max 7 or 12 finally showing their teeth. So TF said Tesla selling off to TSLS to hedge. I don't know anything about TSLS. Oh, that's the Tesla bear. Right. Okay, so that's like playing the SQQQs and the SOXS and the TQ, triple Qs. So guys, this is a great point right here. If you don't have Tesla funds, try this TSLS. I think there is a bullish one too. TF, do you know the bullish one off the top of your head? Or this may just be the one. The ATR isn't much, but this is still an option that you can use for Tesla. But Tesla has a great reversal here. We had our move up, you had your come down, you had your corrective activity, lower high, not quite a shooter, but it's a rejection. It almost did the outside bar, so we're looking for that to finish next week. So at least 235 on Tesla and possibly more downside there. And then Johnson & Johnson is another one. We got our rejection of the EMAs here, a shooter on the week and an inside week. Okay, now that's going to lead up to some of these 50% monthlies that I have here. Remember, we only have one more month left one more week left in the month. So these things may or may not finish it this week. If they don't, they may finish it the following month. So you got eBay, even though this is sitting in this chop area, it could still finish that. SO is another one. It kind of rejected this 50%, so I have to see if it's going to continue to the upside. It only has $1 ATR, but to get to 72, it could definitely do that if it's bullish. Microsoft is another one. I was talking about this in the Discord this past week, and I was playing it for this week, and I rolled it over because of this outside month here. So still looking for 311.55 on Microsoft. Amazon, looking for 126.41. The Googs, 126.38 again. So if you have the 3-2 down that I was talking about with that 2 week, that'll give you more confluence for these to finish these outside months. You got Uber. Now, I think it was on here, y'all. It may not have been. I had a cousin who asked me about a stock to invest in, and I had told her about Uber around right here, but I told her be careful because it's at a point where it could double top, and it did. And I'm a little upset because I could have played that. But this double topped here, and it reversed, and it has not recovered since. And now you see that we're back under the EMAs. So watch Uber. Uber may come up to fill this gap, or it may drop. If it drops out of this area, then you can look for it to come down to this 200. But yeah, look for it to at least do this outside month here, and then it made 3-2 down, so that may be a decent swing there. Oxy, if I don't really like Oxy for the most part, but it's on this list because it could outside month. It's like $2 there, but it's in this consolidation phase, which a lot of energy is doing, but it's also kind of flagging here, so you got to flag. Airbnb, 123.38, what we're looking for, and TWLO, that's the last one, 56.53. TF said TSLL, so that's the other one. That's the bull Tesla shares. Thank you so much, TF. Insiders have been selling for weeks. Nvidia is a big gap to fill. Did we look at Vidi? Maybe look at Vidi. Nvidia definitely has yes. And again, if this falls, if Apple falls, if Microsoft falls, Google, Amazon, like that can really give us the move that we need to at least get down to this 200. So yes, with Nvidia, I'm at least looking for that 345, and then for that gap fill, which would be under the 200. But I just really think we would pause here first, and then if we can break through here, then I would go for that 305 area with Vidi. But yes, Vidi is definitely, a lot of these charts still look bearish. Again, they're breaking below. We're going to target these 200s and these gaps. And NVDS, I'm about to add this to my thing. Did I do that right? It says AXS. Oh, okay. NVDS. I like the ATR. NVDS. Oops. And I think it was TSLL. Okay, so I'm just adding them to my, SPY and Qs list. I couldn't obviously go through all of them, but y'all see I have like a lot of these here. But just to be able to play that, like a lot of times Tesla may make a really decent move on a Monday, but Tesla is expensive on a Monday as far as options. So that's when you play TSLL. Same thing with Nvidia, if it's moving on a Monday or whatever. So thank you for that. Appreciate that. I think we did all of the 50%. Yep. We did the 2-week. That is it. Last but not least, I'm just going to go over the weekly list really quickly. And then I'm going to let y'all enjoy y'all Sunday. We are watching Cat. Cat is a possible 3-2 down. But mostly Kiki mentioned this because it is sitting up here. And y'all know she's like the best bear we know. So if she says that it's about ready to fall, I would keep Cat on your watch list. Okay. We talked about Tesla already. It's not an actionable signal on the weekly, but it is on the 2-week. So we're looking at Tesla for a reversal. The best sector that I really, I thought it was XLU, but I think I meant to put XLC here because I like XLC better. Yes. I'll change that, but XLC and XLU for your weekly continuation down. Johnson & Johnson, almost an inside week, but you have this reversal and shooter. So once it loses this 160.44, then remember we have this 2-week that is going to trigger, which will also finish the monthly. Hold on. Yes. It didn't quite finish that monthly, but that's what we're looking for with Johnson & Johnson. USO is something that I am watching for a possible evening star dark cloud cover pattern. Although for the dark cloud cover pattern, it needs to retrace 50% of the previous candle. It almost did, just not quite. So if this does a 2 up, 2 down reversal, this may come and at least come and fill this gap at the 76.99. All right. I have a whole Kiki list right here. Kiki's plays. So if it's Kiki's plays, then you know it's bearish. To understand that. We got Apple. She was the first one that told us about Apple on the inside, the double inside week. She likes Shop as far as still being bearish. Now remember, when you're doing Kiki plays, you're looking at the week and you're looking at the 4 hour. All right, Shop is under the 200 on the 4 hour, so this is why she would be looking at that. MRK, same thing, and she said that healthcare is most likely going to continue to fall. You can see I drew this flag with MRK action. On the weekly, it has closed below the 200. So it definitely could have more room to fall and fall right through this. V is another one that she has been talking about. She said between B and AXP, but there is more downside there with those two. And then McDonald's, another one that has broken below its 200 on the weekly and could continue to fall. So those are Kiki's plays. And then lastly, I have Oracle. I'm looking to see if Oracle is going to 312 down with this, because you know we hit new highs. We double topped for the most part here, and then we came back in. So are we going to take some of these people out? Are we going to retrace 50%? Or are we going to retest? That type of thing. Watching that. Disney is another inside week. Another reason why I was looking at it and saying, oh, I may want shares. And then I looked at it and said, no, this is going to continue to go down. So you may want to look at Disney, give it, oh, I didn't have this on the 2-week list. Probably because it's only $2. But, you know, you do have a possible swing here for Disney to possibly 70. I would definitely give it at least 3 weeks, possibly a month. Like I would play the monthlies for that. Maybe October 20th or even November. I would do November just to be safe. But Disney could keep going. GM, same thing. You got the inside week where it closed lower. And you can get it to this 32. That's a cheap play. And then again, remember Uber we were talking about is not on the inside. I don't know why it was on the inside list. We are watching Uber to see if it's going to continue down, because it did that double top. So, truth be told, for the most part this week, I will be watching SPY, QQQ IWM, Apple, Meta, and maybe a chip play on Thursday. So I bring these to you because these are things that I've seen. I'm probably going to keep an eye on what Kiki talked about, but for the most part, that's what I'm going to do. I will try. I know I promise this every week, but I will try to come back midweek with a recap. So if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to put them in the chat. I thank everybody that is here who is watching. TF said cat trades with gold and silver. Oh, okay, TF, I like you like a lot. Now hold on, because I was just looking at gold, right? And I don't think this is the one I was looking at. One thing I noticed about gold, I believe, yeah, it was this. Okay. So we were looking at it last week because I was wondering if it was going to rev strike. It kind of did, but it didn't finish. And this downtrend is really strong. So it's flagging, but it's bear flagging. So this is honestly looking like it may 2 up, 2 down and fall through. So that I will be watching gold. And if gold, I mean, I'm always watching gold anyway because of futures. Excuse me. But if it falls, I would definitely be looking for cat to follow suit. And it's kind of almost doing the same thing. Kind of almost, yep. So when you see flags like that, and especially when it closes closer to the bottom, you're just looking for it to break through. That could be a really decent move to the downside. TF said, I'm adding yang tomorrow from the down it had on Friday. China put out a fluff piece, won't hold water. I didn't even go over China, y'all. Why didn't I go over China? I didn't have it over here. Oh, because I didn't do the sectors. I knew I was forgetting something. Okay, you said yen is another one. Yen actually has a ref strat on the week with a possible morning star dragonfly doji. So China actually may have a little pop. I have left China alone for the most part because China loves to gap up and down, and that's really annoying. See, even on the weekly here, it does this. So I think the best advice I give with China is to give it time. Make sure you give it time. Okay. So looking at it on the 2 week, you have a possible, what is that? Oh no, that was the range. It's 2 up, 2 down. That's really it. But really quickly, because I gotta go. IYT on the 2 week and the weekly. We're just gonna briefly look at these because we did look at some of them already on the week. SOXL finally broke down of this consolidation that it's had. So that's how it looks on the 2 week. LIT, lithium, basically is in a downtrend. So this is a solid support for it here. This 54.94. It can definitely keep continuing down. All right, jets, you got your airlines. We were talking about that. The summer travel is over, so it has been dying ever since then, which is absolutely crazy. But it's all, this looks completely bearish. It's back under its 200. So the bears are back in control. It had its relief pop and it's basically done. You got XRT, retail, again looking bearish. It's giving up all of these gains right here. No actionable signal on a lot of these though. So they already did their move for the most part. So if you're in them, great, but not a whole lot of actionable signals on those, except for the ones that we have on our list. XOP, you have this 3. Now XOP we were watching because it had this evening star right here, and we see that that played out. It did the 3-2. And remember how I was talking to y'all about how I'm looking for a 3-2. It would be nice if everything that we were looking at that I said that have the 3s does this. We can have one more red week of September. That'd be great. That'd be great. Then y'all could turn around in October and do whatever you want. Give me one more red week. Give me these 3-2 downs. That'd be great. So that's what you have on XOP. XLB materials, the same thing. You're looking at that a lot. You're going to see that the breakdown with the really strong either 2 down or the outside week. That's what you're going to see. And of course, we'll take a deeper dive on these next week once we start the new quarter and stuff. But again, all of these you're seeing pretty much the same thing. XLV, the double inside breakdown. For the week, we are actually under the 200 here. XLI closed under the 200. So that's definitely something you want to keep an eye on. Your industrials have fallen. Okay, XLU. You have that. We already talked about this. You have that shooter there and almost an inside week here. It just barely did that 2 down. XLE, the rejection, 3-2 down. So it's kind of still fighting up here, but may finally move down to the downside. However, one thing I did want y'all to notice is that even with XLE is fighting, it's still kind of somewhat in an uptrend. See, like even this TTO right here, it made a new high. So keep that in mind. XLC was one of the ones that we do have a actionable signal here, possibly if it does this 3-2 down. Okay, on the 2 week, and then on the weekly, it's not really much there. XLF we talked about, but you do have your 3-2 down possible. XLK technology, there's no actionable signal there, but almost an M. And then last but not least, XLY communications. Again, possibly a 3-2 down. That would be great. We do have a lot of outside weeks, so if we can get that outside week to continue and not just do a inside week, that'd be great. I used to love 3-1s, but I don't really love them anymore. Only because the ones is something you shouldn't trade. So, and then if you do a 3-1-2 reversal, then you're stuck in that broadening formation. So I prefer a 3-2 whether that's a 3-2 down or 3-2 up. I would prefer that as a continuation. So lithium play, if bullish, is LICY. Just so y'all know, that is lithium. Oh, Lie Cycle. I haven't heard of this at all, and it's new. You know what? I'm gonna check something real quick. Just I'm gonna put this on a video. As a previous Instacart shopper, I love to see this because it's not, and there's nowhere for, there's no data for us to say where it's going to go. So psychological targets now, but good to see that they're still keeping it down and not letting his valuation grow. But that's all. I know that was off topic, but I thank you guys again for watching. It's been awesome. I will see you all next week for the longer one with the quarter starting, and we'll be halfway through this 2-week, but we'll have a new month and new setups to look at, new swings, things like that. So hope you all enjoy your Sunday. It is great to see y'all. Thank you for watching. All right, y'all. Bye.